Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the video that I have really reluctantly wanted to make, and I'm going to really make this quick so that I could save you some time on the changes that might be happening in our industry and my take, because hell, why not? I've never seen such a floodgate of misdirection, miscommunication. It's like it's 2020 all over again, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to get right to the point, and I'll give you my perspective on the NAR, National Association of Realtors settlement, from the perspective of someone who doesn't care. Stay tuned. All right, so what I want to say is that this is something that I've been battling with for the past couple of months here. And it's not necessarily religion or spirituality, so don't get me wrong, but there's a prayer, serenity prayer. I believe the Alcoholics Anonymous live by it too. But it is, grant me the serenity to accept to God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And because I'm not particularly, I'm spiritual. Religious, no. Spiritual, yes. So I was trying to find a place where I can go in and say, is the serenity prayer religious, or is there like a stoic who had said kind of like that? Because I'm really deep into the stoicism, the philosophies of the Greeks, memento mori, and you go down a rabbit hole and you really get deep with your thoughts. And I have a necklace that I purchased that has the serenity prayer on it. Again, the word prayer. I prefer to use the word affirmation, but it is wise beyond what you might see on the surface, and that is directly related to what's happening here. So I'm going to point out three different things in this very quick. I got to be very quick because I don't want you to waste time. I've wasted time for you, and you've probably wasted enough time. So let me get to the point. The things you cannot change. The things you cannot change is the outcome. But the one thing I want to point out right now is there is no outcome. It is March 21st, 2024. There is no outcome. Everything that all of these experts have been saying is speculation. And the wisest of the experts admit it up front. It's all just filler, hyperbole, clickbait. The media's running with it without anything being certain. There's no certainty. So when I say to have the serenity to accept the things you cannot change would suggest that you're holding something that is firm in its place and you have to accept it because you can't change it, right? This doesn't even exist. Right now it's just air. There are theories, lots and lots of theories, and they go back and forth. Even me in the very beginning, I thought, oh, that's the end of buyer's agents, listing agents. All right, no problem. None of us care. And then I started listening to gurus, and not my gurus, because my gurus don't do real estate anymore. I don't listen to that. I want to know real estate law, maybe a couple objections, but everything's been said before. So if you've heard from the old masters, the new things haven't been anything new unless you're trying to find new technologies or something. So it's all there. It's been said. That being said, what I want you to do is stop listening to anything related to the topic of the NAR settlement. Just stop it. Like when you see the article come up on your news feed or wherever you're at, just skip it. Just skip it. Skip it. It's all speculation. I'm going to tell you the three places you should go to, and one of them is not me. Like, I'm not going to say listen to me because I'm far from knowing about this. However, 31 years would give me some insight into what I can expect in this business, and I can expect nothing is changing. Nothing is going to change. I know it's going to go against a lot of people like, what do you mean? I've been saying it for years. Nothing has changed. I can still speak to a homeowner, present my product, and if they're interested in selling, they merge and I find a buyer. I sell, I get paid. That remains the same regardless of all. It's like football or soccer or tennis. The rules may have shifted a little bit. Maybe the equipment of a football game, maybe the helmets have increased in their safety standards, but the game, the rules of the game haven't changed from their core fundamentals. And that's what you have to, God, please help me explain this to you guys and gals. Stop paying attention to real estate sales trainer and coaches or any of the crap just stop all of it. Just stop. Just stop. There are only 3 sources right now that you should be listening to. You ready? In this order. Your local board of realtors. They're going to put out information. And I would reluctantly say even your broker, because they might have, of course, listen to your broker, but with a grain of salt, because a lot of them have, opinions on prospecting. Many brokers say you don't have to call. And that's where, there's going to be a disagreement because they have their own rules and their own ways. It's their baby and you're helping them raise it. Whereas the board of realtors, whatever agenda or no agenda, NAR agenda, no agenda, card, no agenda, like these big associations, whether you like them or not, accepting the things you cannot change. You're not going to change the rules of the board of realtors. You're not going to change the rules for your broker. You're not going to change the state board of realtors, and you're not going to change the National Association of Realtors. I see people saying they're going to leave NAR. I didn't know it was an option. I don't know that I would or wouldn't because I don't spend the time. My bandwidth, my brain capacity, my intellect just doesn't, my attention deficit disorder doesn't allow me to remain interested in those things. Politics, religion, politics, religion. I forgot the other one. Oh, maybe real estate. Boring stuff, right? There's just a boring information. How does it affect me? And my board of realtors, they put out a video recently that was interesting. I just watched it and I thought, okay, I'll do the video now because my board of realtors pointed out a few things. One thing is, for example, over what it might be, right? We're talking speculation, so I'm going to throw out what it might be. What it might be is a situation where commissions offered, it now becomes concessions, meaning that there's a place where we can no longer offer a commission to a buyer's agent as a listing agent, but there's a concessions column, and there it goes. For a long time, there is a certain number associated with the amount of commission real estate agents make, and that number for a long time has been 50-50, and that second 50% has gone to the buyer, and that second 50% is a specific number. Each individual markets may vary, but that number is known. We know that number, whether or not the ruling, the settlement, whatever they do, we still know. We haven't forgotten, hey, this is the average around here. So if I walk into a listing presentation today, I'm going to let them know, hey, this is what's coming, but nobody knows yet. But here's the net sheet. At the end of the day, when I first saw this coming down, I thought to myself, what's this about? Because in California, agency is pretty transparent. Me being incredibly transparent to a fault, I've never had an issue where I've sat at a table with a seller and have a buyer who wants to buy it and wants to do something that isn't in the seller's best interest, because I just don't work with that kind of people, right? If the buyer wants it, I'm more of the conduit, the accommodator. So if the buyer wants to make a lower price offer, I would say, sure, I'll ask as a courtesy, but I also prepare my seller ahead of time. Hey, this might happen. And it's in California, there's 7 different forms, even at the listing presentation, that say it might happen. Don't shoot the messenger. I understand. I'll even go to the seller and say, hey, I got an offer. Don't shoot the messenger. I won't say it's low ball. I'll say, don't shoot the messenger. Here's what I got. And they could say no. And then I go back to the buyer and I say, no, hey, after this little attempt at trying to do this, now at this point, the seller here, I'm pretty sure I know what the seller's terms are. If you want this house, let's just go with, you want it or not, right? Negotiations is about getting 2 people to agree win-win. And it's never been hard for me to put those 2 together, provided that they both have expectations based in reality. that they're truthful, right? That they're transparent with me. And so it's just an energy exchange that happens. And I've been fortunate the whole time that I deal with, most of the time, that I deal with clients who are like me, where even at the listing presentation, I will say, hey, there's a chance I might find the buyer. Very slim chance, because like there's thousands and thousands of agents, and they go on the internet and they find whoever they do, or they know people. So that's why we're, soliciting their buyer. We don't, with the agent, take them or leave. I want their buyer. And if they're locked in with an agent, then might as well, because the more eyeballs, right? Supply and demand. If more people see your place, you get more money. I mean, it's logic. The things that I'm dealing with this settlement is just logic. We have to accept the things we cannot change. And right now, there's no ball of clay that we can shape and say, this is what it is. So if you're worried about that, the three people that you want to listen to is your local association of realtors. Well, your broker's a fourth. I'll give the broker a chance. I don't really have, with EXP, there's a broker there, but after 31 years, I only call them when I have to confirm what I already know to be true, but I just need a second opinion on that, just in case I'm wrong on something that's common. This whole business is, my father used to say it, it's common. The whole thing is common sense. If you just have, a sense of what should and shouldn't be right and wrong, the only thing that gets in the way are people out for themselves, which is okay, but as long as it's based from a place of reality, that they try to get a little bit more than what's fair so that they feel like they come out ahead. That's our culture. Some cultures more than others, but that's as a human, we want to say we win. But a buyer in this market, especially in a seller's market, wins when they get the house, because it's still pretty competitive in Southern California. So as far as I'm concerned, a buyer who gets the house is a win. I just closed a buyer who fought, won, and then within days after getting the home purchased, I sensed that this individual thought they paid too much, where I was like, do you not remember when you would have paid more and I managed to not make you pay more so you could just so it's just, some buyers always feel like they could have gotten it for less, but that's not communication, right? Logic, if we can do anything. So the 3 or 4 people that you should be listening to is your local board of realtors, your broker, your state board of realtors, and yes, NAR, National Association of Realtors, who many say threw us under the bus and is useless. You know what? So are the gas and oil company corporate executives. They're completely useless, but we're not going to stop using the gas at the gas station. Me personally, ever since I had a Hummer, I don't even look at the gas pump. It is part of my life. It is the taxes, similar to taxes in California. These are the taxes you pay to do business. And I would hope that my fellow peers who do have a passion and enthusiasm to take down those people who are hurting me have taken them down. And there's just, I don't see enough resistance against, for example, the National Association of Realtors to think something's up unless something like this happens, right? There's always that, that low level jab of like, what are you doing for me lately? The cost of having them there, it is a undesirable that certain people, like my wife has to be a member of all of these things, even though she's handling the files. She's a licensed agent, but now when she's a licensed agent, she has to belong on the board to be a licensed agent. It's just like this weird monopoly of whatever, we'll pay it, we'll move on. Just make enough money to pay it, move on, and not think that by being bitter or feeling like you can change it. Again, part of the acceptance of the things you cannot change is that once you accept it, it gives you the opportunity to move on past it and not hold a grudge about what you can change. And that's what these toxic headlines and articles are doing, is they're sucking you back into this resentment over speculation. Nothing yet. Yes, of course, there are the maybes that are there. But even, again, when I heard the Board of Realtors talking today, I'm like, even the maybes that I thought about, what will it be? It sounds like a change in forms, a change in wording, a change in dialogue. We'll figure it out. Nothing can be worse than COVID as far as I'm concerned. Nothing can be worse than 2000, well, 8 wasn't when it really hit. It was probably like 11, 10, 11. Nothing could be worse than that. This is nothing. This is nothing. This is just a new change in papers, and there just isn't enough headlines right now, especially in our industry. Business as usual. So, what it is not and what it is has to be set in your day to day routine, and you cannot, absolutely under any circumstance, be paralyzed by other people's speculation. And I mean it so much by saying the gurus. With my channel like 5,000 subs, I don't qualify as a guru. I'm just you. You're me. But what I do know is that every time I go into YouTube, because of the nature of my business, I see their faces and their names pop up. They are popular. And most of the time, their thumbnails are very nice and their headlines are very attractive. It's almost like you just can't, it's like a mouse with cheese. It's like a heroin addict in recovery. They're like, you can't put that needle in front of me. I'm going to shoot up. It's an addiction that we have to, I would border on eschatology, which is the study of the end of times. Like, we want to know, for some reason, it is our nature to say, what is the worst case scenario? So I think that's what it is. What is the worst case scenario so I can prepare for it? But when we have nothing in certainty, then the uncertainty somehow pacifies us like a glass of milk and a plate of cookies, that by listening to other people debate, which is why I hate the news. I got sucked into it in 2020, and wow, did I I need a colon cleanse just to get that out of me, right? Because it was just so horrible to imagine. You can't let your imagination run away, especially now, because if you're part of this social media platforms, your imagination is in direct relation to what you are attracted to and click on, right? There's rumors that some of these apps read your mind in that they know where your eyeballs go, that they're looking through your camera. I hate to think so, but who knows? But that, the pause or the break in the scroll where you stop to look at that, it registers that and says, you know what, this person really likes to read clickbait. So let's feed them that. And what is this clickbait about? The end of the world as we know it. Perfect. Make them feel fine for now. And it's back to a heroin addict or an alcoholic or a food addict. You get that dopamine hit. You get that rush. You feel like, well, I'll just do it now and later I'll get to work. When it's not. What you need to do moving forward is do what you hopefully you have been doing, but that you would do more of it. Make your calls, knock on the doors, talk to the community. If you obviously, I'm going to be calling again today, and people will say, what about this lawsuit? Because I've already had people ask me, and I say, all it is doing, sometimes they'll be like, remember the headlines during COVID? They're like, yeah, it's kind of like that. Whatever you think it is, it's not. And they're like, okay. Say, we will see. We can't see. If we walk into a listing presentation, the homeowner, for some reason, says, because of this, I don't want to pay that. I say, okay, no problem. Because of that, I'm going to recommend that we allot, an advertising budget to, put forward this, because now it's me against the world, which is fine. I'll do it, especially in this market. When it shifts to a buyer's market, who knows what it'll be? We don't know. See what I'm getting sucked into the idea of, what if today, just today, don't listen to headlines. Hopefully I made this video quick enough. Don't listen to the headlines. Do not listen to the gurus. Every channel that you've subscribed to with relation to real estate, sales training, and coaching, unsubscribe, block, show you're not interested. Do not pay them any mind. Unsubscribe from newsletters. Just fucking stop it. The flood of, it's like a septic tank at the top of a hill where gravity is just forcing it down. It's a sewage pit of really, really bad information with good intentions. And when it has bad information or just information based on speculation, whether it's positive or negative, we don't have time for it. the top agents in our industry looked at it, read it, and move on. Others, because we have this tendency to watch videos and scroll through, can't help it. I cannot believe how like inundated my feed was, because again, I have a certain amount of real estate related. I can't even scroll through any of my feeds right now because it's just the same from a different perspective. And so I look at the opinion and I say, who is giving me that opinion? Is it somebody who teaches real estate, has courses, has some other perspective that is just going to be opinion? And if you like opinions, I suppose it's okay if you know how to take it with a grain of salt and don't let it stop you from working. I would hate for any of you who are within my voice, because when you watch, or if you're the very few who do watch my content, you watch it because this is work. Like you come here and you say, that is the hardest of what could possibly be for a real estate agent. Picking up the phones, knocking on the doors, going to listing presentation. Like this is the other side of what you know when you go into the business. There are two paths you can take, and one of them is passive and one of them is active. Both marketing, but one is advertising and one is prospecting. And down the path of prospecting, it's doors and phones. That's it. There's nothing else for prospecting. Doors and phones. That's it. Everything else is advertising, both marketing. And so it's 99% of the agents take that path because it works. If it didn't work, why wouldn't they? But it's a very different path. I think if you found me, it's because you know that other path exists. And it's always like this. I know I can always lose the weight, so I'm having a pizza. I know whatever else I know. For me, it's food. It's easy, right? But like, I know I can do this, so therefore I'm going to do this now. I know I can quit drinking. Tonight I'm going to have a drink. I can stop smoking anytime I want. I'm going to have a cigarette, right? And it's this sense of, as the Stoics would say, temperance. Temperance. The discipline to resist what you know isn't good for you. And you know, sitting and dwelling in this space, when you know you cannot change it, the courage to do the work in the face of the change when it actually is finalized will probably still be the same behavior. Well, definitely would be nothing is changing in James Festini's game plan. It will still be pick up the phones, knock on the doors, lead generate, follow up, set listing appointments, put the home on the market, and then at some point, at the seller's presentation, I pull out a net sheet, and that's where this moment matters. And I'm going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here are your two options. Which are they? Are you clear? Okay, let's take this option. But I can't even talk about that option right now because it's not. I can't say, here's where we're going to put concessions or not concessions. Here's where we're going to code words, smoke signals. Who knows how we're going to relate to other people who haven't heard, because the rest of the world doesn't care. They haven't heard. They might not know. And so when a buyer comes into an open house before then, and definitely after then, they won't know things have changed. When a buyer walks in your open house, what will change? Speculation. When they come in, are they officially working for you the second they walk in? Do we have to say, excuse me, do you have a contract with another? Okay, come on in. Just make sure, right? All of these things, the words that we say, all speculation, we don't know. But the people who do know, maybe your broker, probably your broker. I would hope your broker. Let's put it that way. Your local association of realtors. Mine is, the MLS/CRMLS/Pacific West Association of Realtors. And they have a really good attorney who's doing a lecture tomorrow. I'm going to attend that because that is the person who will affect my contracts. Don't listen to the people who are just going to attend to your dopamine. Listen to the people who are going to change your pen and paper, your computer, you're uploading to SkySlope or whatever, wolf or whatever, the people who are going to affect the points between, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And the shortest distance between you and your paycheck is a sale. So who holds the power to do both of these? The shortest distance is me. I hold the power to find someone. Who holds the power to sell? The seller. I don't work with buyers. I haven't worked with buyers. So for me, a lot of this stuff is like, when I do work with buyers, it's my sellers. But by then, because I'm not worrying about it now, when that happens, I'll cross that bridge when I get. How about we just cross that bridge when we get there? Does all of this make... Gosh, I didn't make this short enough. I'm so sorry for not making it short. Hopefully you stuck around to the end. I'm over this topic because I was over it when it first hit. I wish I had an algorithm in my computer that says, if anything other than Pacific West Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors, EXP Corporate, more particularly California, and National Association of Realtors. Those 5 sources. Everything else, just mass unsubscribe if it's related to this topic, because I don't care. And the worst ones, the worst offenders are the ones that get you with the clickbait. It's over. It's the end of opportunity. Then they disguise it as saying opportunity, right? You get some of those are like, it's the end of the world. And you're like, oh God, that kills me, right? I got to find out about that. I'm having had chest pains. Or they're talking about that. What are my opportunities? Mom. Stupid. I'm not the smartest tool in the shed. I'm a workhorse, though. And I know, just based on the bandwidth that I'm working with, that this NAR, all of this stuff that's going on right now, doesn't play a role in today and or tomorrow. When it might play a role is if somebody asks, and I already have my answer. Remember COVID in the headlines? It's like that. That's my script, because it's misinformation, it's misdirection. We don't have the answers. Nobody knows. It's just like politics. Nobody knows. It's just like religion. Nobody knows. Nobody knows until it happens. Nobody knows. It's all speculation. Preliminary polls, we hope and expect, but our expectations, not based in a reality, is wishful thinking or just mind effing. And I just do not have that in my wheelhouse today or tomorrow. The minute I log into the MLS and it says something, I'll look. The minute I get an alert from my board of realtors, the broker, I'll look into it. But even them, they're speculating because it hasn't changed. They give you ideas, and I even those ideas, I could have gone in the first couple seconds when they were saying nothing's set in stone. I could, okay, press pause. I'm done. Just like a movie, when you start watching, you're like, this movie's a turd. You don't watch it through. Why are you watching what could be the worst movie ever just to satisfy this sick curiosity? Hopefully not to see if maybe, just maybe, you are going to find a solution to a non-existing problem. I still believe, though, listing agents have been not as worried as the buyer's agents, because we're going to business as usual. We might have to describe and explain things differently to the homeowners. But again, of the 31 years I'm doing this, I really can't see a scenario where I couldn't show the value of exposure. And it's still going to boil down to, how will buyers respond to this? How will buyers immediately start thinking? We don't know. See, I'm speculating. God damn it. I'm already speculating again. But I think the speculation on my part is, how will the consumers? Because that's who we care about. We don't care about anything but, what are we going to face in the streets, right? What's our opponent doing, right? We can watch all the boxing matches of historical boxing matches, but we'd be smartest to watch the opponent that we're going to be fighting, or in this case, helping. We want to study their tape. What will the buyers think? Will buyers universally think, uh-oh, I have to pay an agent to represent me? How was it before? The seller paid. Well, they don't pay anymore. Then who pays? Well, you pay. No, I can't afford it. Well, then Go to the listing agent and ask them. That'll be me. Right? If they want to buy the house, they're going to call them. And they're not going to call their buyer's agent because they're afraid to even ask, I think. I mean, if they can't afford it, why would they randomly look? Speculation. What is Redfin going to do? What is Zillow going to do? What is Realtor.com? What are all of these portals, as I've been describing for a couple of years now, these massive portals with Zillow, for example, somewhere I saw 220 million monthly active users, where 4 or 5 million houses in that window of stats, which with two sides is 10 million on a generous year. That means there are 210 million monthly nothings being resold to maybe you as a lead. I call them inquiry. For what? What's going to happen to that pool? How's the portal going to say, hey, by the way, we're going to send you someone, but you might have to pay them before you go much farther. And then be like, yeah, I can't afford that. Can I scroll down to see who that listing agent is? Because maybe that will be the understanding. And then again, nothing of this lawsuit points to me leaving the business. Nothing in this settlement points to change in my character and how I've always operated with transparency and integrity with every one of my sellers. I'm not the greatest agent. I'm not 1,000 deals a year, 100 deals a year. But what I am is every one of them. If something's wrong, I lose sleep. And if it's going right, I get a little sleep. I get paid, right? I involve myself with the transaction and I know what I'm doing, and I share as much as the client cares to know. And in most cases, a buyer only wants to know, when do I move and how much is it going to cost? And a seller wants to know, when do I move and how much am I going to get? That's it. So can we just make it easier on ourselves by not overthinking the process? Many people would love to see, most every industry in the world would love to see them fall. Everyone, like, yeah, I mean, who does? Even churches. If someone says, X religion is now canceled, you'd have half the people be like, hooray, and half the people like, oh my goodness, we're all gonna burn, right? Who are they? Like Mother Teresa. She's got haters, right? These people who are really trying to do good. Tony Robbins, I think for the most part, he's really trying to do good. Haters, right? So there's never going to be a scenario where we're going to be the most trusted. We've always been put in this category of attorneys, which even attorneys, like, love them or hate them. Some I like. I play tennis with quite a few. They seem pretty cool. Would I want to get them angry? I got a judge that I play with. Seems pretty cool. Would I want to be on the wrong side of the fence? No, I think it comes down to the character. My character is who I am and not my reputation. My character is my concern, not your interpretation. That being said, I try to make it quick. I had a lot to say, and I quite possibly said nothing, which is a lot like what the other experts said from my perspective. So I hope I offered you some perceived hope and guidance and resolution in what may or may not impact you more than or less than the crap that I've been impacted by in the last 31 years. Last I checked, though, people are still buying and selling houses. Interest rates are great. My caller ID is not blocked, right? The positive things. Had a great closing week. Life goes on, and we will be totally fine. You just don't. All right, one more thing. I play tennis. I'm getting much better. Like, I'm really trying, and I've taken it to. I won like a club championship at a low level, but my name's on a little plaque. When I got better at tennis, and this is only recently that I started doing this thing that when the server serves the ball at me, I would think in my head, here's how I'm going to return it. And if you know anything about tennis, that's stupid. because you don't know what they're. So if I say I'm going to, you know, forearm it down the line, and they hit my backhand on a spin, that's not happening. How can I possibly like set myself up for that return when I don't know what's coming? That is what we're doing with this settlement. The server hasn't hit the ball yet. They're standing on the other side of the court. You are prepared. You've done your homework, not in this department because maybe you've never played this person, but you played the game of real estate. Maybe you've never played that person. Rumor is they're a better player, but you don't know until they serve. And when they serve it, you're not going to, like the first serve, think to yourself, I'm going to do it this way. Even the pros, they don't do that. They get into the moment, they go with the flow, and they adapt in real time. That's what we have to do right now. And the real time, as of this recording, says the ball hasn't been hit. Stay on your toes. Keep what you know in your head and be in the game and be ready. But it doesn't change the fact that you are always trying to get better at doing this, and you win some, you lose some. But in this case, don't try to prepare for something that hasn't happened yet. You will definitely lose that way. And that by preparation, I mean listening to the wrong people, including me. I don't have an opinion yet. And this will be the only time I'll ever even talk about this, because whether it happens or it doesn't happen, if in a year from now you see me on social media with a picture in front of a house that says brand new listing, however I'm offering the compensation or whatever, it means that I'm over it, right? James still survived. When I left my previous territory as a number one agent in that region 8 years ago, I left it with a moving truck and zero knowledge of where I am now. And I looked at the camera and I said, look behind me. These are all boxes. I'm leaving this town. I'm leaving this area. It's still 40 minutes away. I still have some business there that I travel to go to if I have to, if they really want me. But otherwise, it's all focused here. And when I did that, I said, I'm burning the bridge for a sense. I'll leave like a little rope that I can walk across if I have to make a deal or two happen, because I still know the area and it's worth a drive. It's worth the commission. But at the end of the day, when you do this sort of behavior with an expectation, it changes things. So I'm going to encourage you, don't